continued moment here, looking at the allegation by the Central Bank of Nigeria against the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, on this particular unremitted fund. They say it is 49.8 billion naira. They just had the media chief of the NNPC saying, well, it is absolutely incorrect and there's nothing like that. It's a letter smack of mischief and a little bit politically in that particular document from the CBN, which was written in September. Joining us to look at that particular matter at this point in time is George A.K. He's a lawyer. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure you must have seen those huge figures coming from the CBN against the NNPC. And we also had the World Press Conference by the NNPC on this particular matter. And he's just said, well, they were never written directly. It was a letter addressed to the presidency, but they've taken time to also address this. And looks like the CBN has got it wrong this time.
Well, I think there is more to this whole saga, than meets the eye, because I have listened to the media relations manager, that's the general manager, media affairs of NNPC. I still think there are quite a number of hazy areas, that need to be addressed. Even though, by his own admission, he says that they do reconciliations every now and then, with NNPC. If after reconciliation NNPC,
CBN.
with CBN, if after reconciliation CBN is still insisting that there is a gap, that there is this huge gap, $49.8 billion, then it means that there is more to it. My question is this: I've serially listened to all the streams of income that they say go to NNPC, go to CBN, namely the one that comes from equity, the other one comes from taxes, the other one comes from royalty, and the ones that the other two that he says are the campaign into insignificance. But let's bother ourselves about the three streams. I think CBN has enough economists, enough accountants that can distinguish the simplistic stream of accounting of equity, royalty, and taxes. There are only three things. And if CBN is insisting that the part that is supposed to be remitted by NNPC has still not been remitted, then they should be listened to. But you see, one thing I think should happen is that CBN should probably speak up. But for now, they are maintaining some dignified silence because, professionally speaking, they are not supposed to join issues with NNPC. And the moment they join issues with NNPC, it becomes political. And CBN is not there to play politics. CBN is established to be the government bankers. They are bothered about monetary policies, interest rates, stability of our currency, and all of that. And they have faced that. And they have been doing quite a good work in that regard. But you see, for the government banker to say, we have not seen this volume of amount of money, and they report this discrepancy to the president. It means we are expecting this income, and it is not here yet.
But you had to reply.
They are not saying,
well, the CBN does not understand how it works.
No, it's not possible. It's like that argument that we normally get from the National Assembly. Each time we try to put them on the spot, they say, we do not understand how they work. And I said, we are your employers, and we do not understand how you work. It's not possible for CBN not to understand. It's an accounting process. What they are talking about, CBN is not talking about lifting of oil. It's not the process of lifting of oil. They are not talking about petroleum engineering. The people are talking about money that comes from the lifting of oil. And they have been doing this over years. So it's not like it is a one-off thing. It didn't start from September when the letter was written. So it's like we are waiting for your remittance. And the mix-up that I noticed the media manager made is he is talking about shortfall in production. CBN is talking about shortfall in remittance.
If I may come in here, is it not possible that the CBN is mixing it up? He's talked about several accounts that this money is going to.
Yes.
Is it not possible that the CBN is missing something?
Now, CBN knows an organization called Federal Inland Revenue. They know them. They also know that they have a separate account. They also do know that DPR remits account for royalties. simplistic. They do know that from lifting of oil, equity, that NNPC is supposed to remit some money. And they have waited, and they cannot find. It's almost like where an accountant is looking at another leg of the transaction. You open an LC, and they are expecting some inflow. The inflow doesn't come in. And of course, I noticed when people asked him about the foreign account that they have, which of course he admitted that CBN, they cannot open a foreign account without the knowledge of CBN. We agree. But what of remitting money from that foreign account?
Because you just said something
is CBN part of it?
I think you
should also inform us.
You tried bringing us back to the content of that particular letter, and you said the allegation is about shortfall in remittance
and not shortfall in production. Because he went all the way to talk about Niger Delta militants, vandalization of pipeline. We are talking about production. So if CBN is bothered about the one that we have produced, remit the money. Put simplistically, that's what they are saying. And that if you don't remit it, we will report you to our supervisor, which is the president. And that they have done. And CBN has simply walked away because they don't want to join issues. I even think there is some mix-up or some indictment that is contained in their response, NNPC's response. Because NNPC is saying that the presidency forwarded the letter to them, and they have responded to the satisfaction of the presidency. Not to the satisfaction of CBN. In other words, CBN is still waiting for this shortfall. Meanwhile, the presidency is satisfied. Because you asked him if there was any other thing that the presidency did. He said the presidency did not do anything. In other words, the presidency is satisfied, but the CBN is not.
Well, Markwe has some questions for you from Abuja. We'll go to Markwe from our Abuja studios now. And, Markwe, George A.K. is here for you.
Well, thank you, Sulaiman. I definitely have been following what Mr. AK has been saying, on the CBN. Mr. AK, we must note that the CBN did not come up with this, did not make this known to the public. The CBN made this known to Mr. President as far back as September the 25th of this year. Why do you think that this was leaked to the public?
Well, a number of reasons may account for that. One is the fact that, like I said in my the last statement I made, is that CBN probably has waited for a response from NNPC or through the presidency, since they said they responded through the presidency, and they cannot find any reasonable response. And this gap is still there, yawning, over and above or notwithstanding the reconciliation that the NNPC claims to have been doing on a regular basis. So it becomes attractive for maybe a mole somewhere, either in NNPC, CBN, or wherever, to leak the letter.
Now, looking at what has been said so far on the part of the NNPC, some people say that you cannot fault the NNPC's response, that the audacity they even have to clarify certain figures, and say that the amount of crude exported was actually far higher, tells you that they seem to be in the right on this one, and that the monies they're supposed to be remitting are actually what they're remitting. But I think it also goes to raise the question of, how come is it that when there is some misconception somewhere between government agencies, they cannot seem to clarify this amongst themselves?
Well, but that only raised an impression of some convoluted figures. If yes, you may be praising NNPC to have upped the figures, as it were. And to that extent, that the revenue accruing from such higher figure is accruable to CBN or to Nigeria through the CBN. But it only shows you that